Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Great Tree. I would like to begin this morning with a brief statement about the Dhana. In Buddhism, when practitioners share their understanding of the teachings and practice, it is offered freely as a practice of Dhana Paramita. Dhana is a Pali word that means generosity or to give freely, and it is done without the expectation of getting something in return. This is the spirit of speaking about the Dharma. Other ways to practice Dhana are to offer support to those who share the teachings, to support places of spiritual practice, and to give without judgment or expectation when opportunities arise. Those who share the teachings at Great Tree do so on a Dhana basis. We ask that you please support their practice by giving what you can. And if your Dhana is specifically for Peggy Rowe this morning, please email Great Tree separately to let us know so that we may pass it on. And in the chat box, I have included both a link to the Great Tree Giving page, as well as an email address for us. And one other thing before I close, and that is I'd like to invite all of you to next Saturday's first fall practice day at Great Tree. It's organized around the speaker series. So we would begin at 9:30 as we normally would. We would have a Dharma talk. In this case, it's Anne Mahoney and Peg and Meredith McIntosh doing an introduction to Zazen. And we would have 2 periods of Zazen in the afternoon. So the schedule for that is in the chat box, and you may feel free to come to whatever portion of that you'd like. Thank you.
Small correction. Next week's talk is Paige Kenko-Gilchrist talking on steadiness and ease, and the introduction to Zen is on Sunday morning at 10:30. I just want to make clear about that. Well, this morning, we're welcoming back Peggy Rowe as our Dharma speaker. Peggy, who got up early in California to do this. So especially thank you. And she's a longtime friend of Great Tree. Peggy grew up in the Lake Country of Wisconsin and has a strong connection with woods, lakes, and the natural world. She has her doctorate in adult education and a master's degree in counseling psychology. She serves on the faculty of a graduate program in mindful leadership at Atlantic University. She's also studied and practiced with many wise Native American elders. In 1991, she met Thich Nhat Hanh and became a lay minister in 1994, and then an ordained Dharma teacher in 2000. She and her husband, Larry, joined Thich Nhat Hanh in international exchanges throughout the world and served as staff for 20 years. Did you want to add something, Tejo?
I could add a lot, but I'd rather listen to Peggy. Thank you, Peggy, for coming. Peggy is in the midst of getting ready to move. So I really appreciate the fact that you are taking this time, Peggy, to give to Great Tree. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Tejo. Thank you, Great Tree. Good morning, everyone. As you've heard, my name is Peggy, she, her pronouns, and I'm in the land of the Kumeyaay people near San Diego. Can you hear me okay? Good. I love it when Zoom's my friend. So we get to be together as friends on the path this morning. And how lucky are we that we found such a path? How lucky are we that we found a teacher? And I was very lucky to find my teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. It's a very difficult time in my life, and all of my practices weren't working. And sure enough, I found this teacher that said it's very simple. Simple but difficult at times, but simple. And that's where the I have arrived, I am home comes from. And I'm seeing if there's any of the great singers from our tradition here. This is a song in our tradition. And it's really early here. I don't know if I can sing it without having you all leave the room. I'm not seeing a hand up. I'm not seeing the great singers here. I'm sure you're great singers. I just don't know you. But it goes like this. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. I am solid. I am free, I am solid, I am free. In the ultimate I dwell, in the ultimate I dwell. So that's what I want to talk about, is how we do that. And in the tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, we were in China with Thai, and there was a gathering with reporters. And one of the questions was, what are you famous for? What are you famous for? And Thai didn't answer it. One of the things that Thai has taught me through the years is that you don't have to answer every question, that sometimes you can just leave them on the floor or in the room. But the next day, he said something about this. And he said, I am about arriving home. And in 2016, we wanted to put together what we could identify as Thich Nhat Hanh's core body of teachings. And this was quite a gathering. The monastics worked on it for some time, and lay people. What if we saw a teaching and wanted to see if it was Thich Nhat Hanh's, what would the quality be, or what would the words be? What would the philosophy be? And number one on our list was I have arrived. Number one tenet of that's a teaching of Thich Nhat Hanh. So that's what I want to unpack this morning. What does that mean? And of course, as we learned in the introduction, we are encouraged to only teach from our own experience. So if I'm doing my job well, I'm inviting you to have your own experience of what it means to arrive home. And so that's our inquiry this morning, and we'll have a short practice with it too. I have arrived. Well, anytime we fly anywhere, we see there's a section for arrivals and departures. So somehow we have to pull our car up to the arrival level. And as any of you have traveled, you know this can be a problem if you're being picked up. Are you being picked up at arrival or departure? So we begin with arrival, arriving home, arriving. Now, some of the introduction to meditation, those are invitations to arrive, to arrive. And where are we arriving? Where are we going? Well, the invitation is to arrive home, right here. What is home? Is it Washington, D.C.? Is it Asheville, North Carolina? Is it San Diego? Well, those homes do something for us, don't they? We certainly have a cultural context of the world that can help us feel more or less comfortable. I teach a course at the university on decolonizing the mind. In the first 3 weeks, we look at our cultural identity. My cultural identity does involve trees and mountains and water. I feel a lot more comfortable in this environment than I do in the desert. It's not that the desert isn't fabulous, but this cultural context is a comfort to me. It was even mentioned in the introduction. I was what was called a lake girl in Wisconsin. And where I grew up, people knew what that meant. That meant I lived on one of the small lakes that were all connected by small little waterways. We had a lake in front of my house. I had a lake behind my house. I was very lucky to grow up in such a way. We knew each other by where we lived on what lake. We knew each other by what view of the lake that we had. This was a way to locate myself in space and time. This was a way that I could gain comfort, imagining this lake. But we're not always in our hometown, are we? Our hometown, golly. That's been a struggle for Larry and I. One of them has to do with the comfort of cultural context. Larry runs cold and I run warm. So we've needed this kind of temperature where we can relax. And we both need safety. And this has been a struggle for Larry and I. We've had a lot of experiences of not feeling safe where we lived in the United States. So I'll take a breath to that one. Don't we all wish that in the loving kindness meditations? May everyone be safe and may their hearts be filled with peace. Yeah, we wish that for everyone, don't we? We wish that for ourselves. So we arrive into this container of us. We know this identity, or do we? That was one of the things my mom used to say to me when I was nervous about something. She'd say, Peggy, just be yourself. I thought, oh my God, that's so hard. You know, some days it's not easy to be me. So when I arrive home, though, what happens to that me? What happens to that? I had the joy of teaching 2 weeks in Alaska in August with a good friend and Dharma teacher in our tradition named Diane Little Eagle. And Diane never uses the pronoun I. Diane is always a we. What a teaching that is. She's always got this we, and the sense you always feel with her that her ancestors are right there. And sometimes when she was talking, I thought she was talking to me, but she would be talking to an aunt. She has a lot of aunts, and many of them are in the spirit world right now. But these aunts are always with her. So somehow she carries this home with her too, this arriving home. She never forgets that she's connected with her land and her ancestors. And I wanted to mention that today because we're close to Halloween, All Souls Day, All Saints Day. And in many cultures, many traditions in the world, this is the time when the ancestors are closer. And I'm very aware of this. We're doing a retreat next weekend, so I'm sorry y'all are busy preparing for our ancestor time of year by decorating our ancestor altar. So I have arrived. I have arrived. I have arrived. So just notice that. So maybe you were a year in your thoughts, maybe they were a year ahead of time, or a month ahead of time, or a day ahead of time, or an hour ahead of time, or a minute ahead of time, or a second ahead of time. But we're talking about this moment, what we can do to bring ourselves into this moment. Can you do that with your breath right now? Another tenet of Thich Nhat Hanh is present moment, only moment. And this is one of the things that helps me to arrive home. I say this to myself, present moment, only moment. It's true, right? This moment where we're together in community, even using Zoom, we have this moment together. We have this breath that we share. It's very precious. Present moment, only moment. So do you have a tried and true way of coming home to yourself? I was thinking of a song this morning, won an Academy Award years ago, called Windmills of the Mind. And our mind, this part of us, not the whole body mind, can have windmills that take us away. What wind can we use to come back here? What wind? The first foundation of mindfulness in the Buddhist tradition is all about the body. There is a body here. And this is our foundation for arriving home. This foundation, that there's this body. This body. And my body's hurting a bit from packing. It's amazing how reaching and stuffing and unloading, and there's all these little muscles that don't get used all the time. So right now I'm using that to help me come home. This body, this precious moment. So I'm breathing in right now. I'm aware of my bum on the chair. I'm inviting my belly to relax and soften. As I settle in, I'm aware that my heart lifts and my shoulders drop just a little bit. As I bring my attention to my breath, it automatically helps to slow me down just a little bit from the windmills of my mind. I've got a story coming up I might have shared last time, so apologies. And one time I was eavesdropping on this woman talking about Thich Nhat Hanh, and this person says, "Oh, he always tells the same stories." And I thought, yay, I'm looking forward to him talking about the hermit in the well again. Yay. I could tell I was a disciple because I liked hearing the same story. There was something about the story that brought me home. But this story was from an interview that Al Pacino gave in the Smithsonian Magazine. And he happened to mention, the interviewer asked him about some of his teachable moments that he had. And he said he had free tickets to a Frank Sinatra concert. And he was so excited about that. They were great seats. And so he sat down, and it turned out they had another artist on first. So he just about left the room when they announced that Buddy Rich, the drummer, was there. So he said, well, I decided to sit down. I'd never heard of Buddy Rich. So he sat down and he said, Buddy Rich began to play the drum. And then it was like out of nowhere, even though it was just him on stage, it seemed like there must have been 2 people playing the drums and 4 people playing the drums and 12 people playing the drums. And he said it was this moment where everything shifted as you thought that the stage was full of people playing instruments. He said it was totally mesmerizing. And then before he left playing, he went back down to just one person with a drumstick. And after the concert, he said he doesn't even remember the Frank Sinatra concert, but he went to meet Buddy Rich. And he said, how did you do that? And he didn't say anything. It was kind of like a Thich Nhat Hanh answer question. And then he said, you know, sometimes you just stay with a thing. And this is what I'm encouraging us all to do. And our Zen practice encourages us to stay with a thing, to stay with a thing. And over time, we notice that something's different. We get more comfortable with our practice. We get more comfortable with our sit. We get more solid. We experience more freedom. So we stay with a thing. And this is the encouragement here, is to stay with a thing. Stay with something that helps you feel solid and free. Stay with your breath. Let it be your best friend you've ever had. And stay with this precious body that is along for the ride with us. And it's doing its best. She's doing her best. They are doing their best to stay along with us. So we stay with a thing. And I've met some of you many years ago that are on the screen today. And you have a true treasure in Tejo, who's really stayed with the thing. She's kept her monastic vows for what, over 35 years, is it? She stayed with Great Tree. I remember the first session I went to in Asheville. Oh man, we were in this little house. It was so tight. Walking meditation was kind of a challenge. And the kitchen was so small, so that when we prepared meals, we were really on each other. I remember trying to unload things and just having to tuck my body in tight. I remember doing walking meditation in that little yard. We stayed with a thing. I have arrived. I am home. So one of the keys that Thai talks about is that there's this quality of being solid and also being free at the same time. It's interesting, huh? Being solid and free at the same time. Can you feel this in you? Can you experience that solidity? Do you know when your solidity has left the building? And with that solidity, can you experience freedom? So one of the things our practice does is provides us more interior space. We have more inner space. And boy, isn't that a blessing? If we're crowded inside, we don't have space for life as it is. We're full. We can't take one more thing. But if we take the time to arrive home, come home, settle in, practice stability, breathing in, we can experience the freedom of more inner spaciousness. Sometimes that's all I do with my practice, is to just really notice and invite and encourage more space in my interior. With the out breath, I let go of anything I'm holding. Yeah. So notice that right now with your breath. How are the conditions on the interior? Is it crowded? Is there spaciousness? Yeah. So with more breath, with more space, with more practice, Then we can ease more out of what we're holding that doesn't serve us, that is the future, past time, regret, worry. I'm packing, as you learned. And one of the things I discovered is this thank you card that I got from a little kid. And it's this drawing of a rooster, really rough with crayons. And it says, free to be me. I've never quite understood it, but I love that card. It's like, I'm free to be me. I'm this rooster. And it's actually still, I think, well, I think I know where I packed it, because I seem to carry that little rooster card, free to be me, around. And I think of that little kid that wrote with those big, thick crayons, that already had that insight of that he could be free to be himself, whatever that thing is that we call the self is. So, is it coming, making some sense? I have arrived. I am home in the here, in the now. Do we all get why we want to be here in the here and now? Does that make sense to all of us? When I work with kids, I have them ask a lot about that. They'll say like, well, it's raining. I don't want it to be raining. So can we be comfortable when it's raining? Can we find spaciousness when it's raining? Another thing I did with kids to help them get into the here and now, we used to get the full-on gymnasium, and I had music. And I did this with nursery school, first, second, third graders. And their job was to move as much as they wanted to, make as much sound as they wanted to. But then when the music stopped, they had to sit still in silence. So imagine how loud this was. Of course, everybody would scream and yell and run around. And they also couldn't touch each other. That was another rule. There was no touching. So they could make as much loud sound as they wanted to. They could move around the whole gymnasium as much as they wanted. They couldn't touch each other. But then when the music was off, they had to sit still. And that was something. I used to have teachers come in because of all the screaming and all the running around. And then they'd come in and they'd see all these kids just sitting. And kids have seen the movies on how to sit. So they're sitting like with mudras, full posture, totally still. And this was one of my adventures in teaching mindfulness, and it worked. They really were able to shift gears. Can we do that? What helps you to shift gears? Can you shift out of, I have a client that said she comes from the lineage that she calls women who wring their hands and worry. Not women who run with the wolves, women who wring their hands and worry. She's, and you can just see her doing that. Can we let that go and sit still? Can we let go of an inherited pattern like that? Women who wring their hands and worry. Women who sit still and breathe. Yeah. So I want to invite you, if you're comfortable or to stand up for a moment, that's good. If not, you can do this in your seat. But if you're comfortable standing, I want to invite you just to stand. And it's okay from your seat. Yeah. So just notice what you notice first. We just did a trip. We just took a trip, and now we're at the arrival gate. Some of us are in standing posture. And notice this. Are you aware of your feet on the ground? And I invite you just to sway a little to see if you can find the center point, the still point. If you're in a chair, you can also do that. You can sway, aware that your feet are on the ground. And this is a meditation posture. So just notice. Are you aware of your right and left side, front and back? And there's a line of energy that runs through us horizontally through our midline. Connects us with the earth and the sky. And say to yourself, silently or aloud, I have arrived. I am home. Noticing what you notice. This is our practice, moment by moment, to start where we are, to accept where we are, to name where we are. I have arrived. I am home. Noticing what you notice. And now I'm going to invite you to take a step with this, even just a few. So take a step with I have arrived. And then I am home with the other foot. I have arrived. I am home. A few more steps. I have arrived. I am home. And come back to standing. Very nice. I have arrived. I am home. In the here and in the now. I am solid. I am free. In the ultimate, I dwell. I'll say that one more time, aware of your feet on the ground, the energy that runs through you, aware of the back side of your body, the back of your heart, the sides of your body, I have arrived. I am home. In the here. In the now. I am solid. Stay with solid. I am solid. Really check out your qualities of solidity. If I were to come by, could I knock you over easily? Are you standing like a mountain? I am solid. I am free. I am free. Feel the lift with the freedom around you and within you. Free to be me. Free to be you. In the ultimate, I dwell. The ultimate, I dwell. Really open to that the ultimate is here and now. The real miracle is to stand on the earth, to walk on the earth. Here now. In the ultimate, I dwell. And can you live in this place of stability and freedom with your feet on the earth and the ultimate right here, every cell? I have arrived. I am home. I invite you to put a hand on the heart and a hand on the belly, if that's okay. Just really anchor that. I have arrived. I am home. Here, now. Safety to my right, safety to my left, safety above me, below me, behind me, all around me. Slowly remove your hands and bow, and please be seated. So if anybody would like to share something you noticed or observed in your arriving home, I'd open the floor. We have some fancy technology here where if you flap your arms around and I see you, and I think Anne can help me open the door for you. Have you arrived? Are you home? What helps you arrive? Does anybody want to raise their hand? Norma does. Norma, you might even have a poem on this, so
So good to see you, Peggy.
thanks.
So what I'm noticing most of all is from feeling agitated this morning, I feel solid and calm. Just from being with you and hearing your voice and the walking, the mindful walking, really helped. And I noticed particularly because I had been having some trouble with the bottom of my feet this year, that my feet feel wonderful. And I'm very grateful.
And Norma, before you disappear, where do you experience the calm in your body? Where do you notice it?
I'm noticing it around the heart,
The heart?
especially. Yeah, just my whole body, my arms. I'm just, feeling light.
Okay. Thank you so much. And any poem come to mind on this, you can come back with that.
Okay, not at the moment.
Norma just published a book of poetry that's incredible called Ghosts Rip Free. I adore the title and I adore the book of poems. So thank you, Norma. Anybody else, what you noticed this morning as we practice arriving home? You just are nothing like kids. They would all be like, oh, Anybody? Dale, I'm going to call on you. What'd you notice?
Oh, Peggy, I'm sorry. I was wrestling with a little chihuahua, in my lap, so I didn't get to follow you through as much as I'd like to. But I always appreciate what you have to say, and it does feel like I've been thinking about a friend of mine was talking about that the life is bigger inside than outside, and that idea of spaciousness. And I always have a hard time sort of identifying these things in my body, but I can sort of feel more spaciousness sometimes and a little bit more solid. So I appreciate, and I've always appreciated Ty's teaching about, this is it right here in the body and it's not up here in your head. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I think wrestling a chihuahua in your lap is a great way to come home.
So
I think the chihuahua won. So that's what we're looking for. Thanks, Dale. Anybody else?
I felt like having you walk us through the walk was like having someone lead me through Pilates, I mean, I can do it myself, but with someone's voice there, I don't know, it was very helpful. And when I stood up, I took off the ice from my back because I've been having some issues, and it was hurting. And I noticed that subsided as I was doing the walking. It was, and then I came and sat down and it feels quite different. So that was very interesting to be able to let that go, and just be here without it. So thank you.
Thank you. Anything else you notice with Anne? I'm noticing more smile and light on her face. Do you see that too? And wonderful practice. So the encouragement then is to use your own voice. And this was one of the brilliant things Ty has done, is come up with these teaching songs and phrases and gathas that get inside of us. And it's a wonderful thing when they come up on their own, which is what happens to me now. I'll hear this here, now, arrive, home. So my own voice now encourages me, and some wisdom part of myself, my Dharma body. We all have wisdom that grows in our Dharma body, right? You feeling it? This is the other reason we stay with a thing. We stay with a thing to have this wisdom grow in us so that we're held in this Dharma body. Tejo, anything you want to?
Well, I liked the part where you told us that we had arrived from our seated position, and I thought about that little journey from sitting to standing. And it was interesting because you do that so automatically. You sort of blank out the journey. But all of a sudden it seemed like, oh yeah, that's an important part of it, of the whole thing. When I was studying the Alexander technique with Marge Barstow, a very famous Alexander technique teacher, she was an old woman, and people told me she wasn't interested in meditation. She thought it was stupid. But anyway, that's what I do, So when she was working with me, I took my cushion and she said, well, what do you do? I said, I meditate. And then she said, okay, well, show me what you do. And I sat down on the cushion and she said, stand up. And I stood up and she said, okay, now how did you get from the standing to the cushion? And I realized I just plopped myself down. I didn't, and I think for me, that's been a great value of Ty's teaching about, being in the moment. And like walking without a destination. If you walk without a destination, you notice the scenery along the way. You know, and anyway, so that really affected me, that, believe it or not, that one little piece.
Okay. Thanks, Tejo. And that is something that those of us that have had any dance classes, there's always this focus on the betweens. And that's a book that Tejo and Sister Peace and I are going to write on the betweens. So we've been so captivated by the betweens. So how do we get from here to there? How do we get from anxiety to calm? How do we get from standing to sitting? How are we arriving in each moment and each breath? And then we have these betweens. A very easy place to get lost is a between. Like right now, everything here, I could walk you through this house and you'd groan with me. I'm in a between. You know, Larry and I take turns saying, have you seen this? Have you seen that? And it's like the stuff is getting together. Where'd the stuff go? So we're in a between. But can we come home? Because my realization is we're in a between a lot of the time. Yeah. So we have to figure out how to stay awake in betweens. We have to stay alert. And again, the inner spaciousness, can't say enough about that. Did anybody else feel that, more of that today, the inner space? Dale, Dharma. Yeah. Anybody else want to say anything about inner space? Oh, still shy. Okay. Now, Dale, keep practicing with it because it's really helpful. Really, really helpful. And in the Tibetan Buddhism teachings on overwhelm, it's very simple. You just do more out breath.
Peggy, I saw Lisa raise her hand.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Where's Lisa? Okay, go for it, Lisa.
Good morning.
Morning.
I've felt profoundly changed this morning. I have that realization. I've been looking out and struggling to find my home. And who is that, you know? And very profoundly, I was able to feel that within. To what does it mean to come home to me? And who is this? And I feel that. I truly feel that it's already here with me. And I do feel home. And how can I best respect this home? And to be open to that. And I so thank you for bringing me along on this journey. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. I'm sorry. So glad we got this teaching. I invite you to keep your hand there and really anchor this. And we can all anchor it because Lisa just gave us all a transmission. We can save it to we call this in somatic, saving it to the hard drive, but save this as a positive memory capsule. Let it melt and marinate into your bones, into the skin, into your being. Really aware of the sensations of your body, the temperature, if there's temperature. Maybe you feel energy moving. Maybe you're aware of your bum on the chair, feet on the ground. And each breath, just anchor this in. This is true. This is my experience. I have arrived. I am home. In the here and in the now. I am solid. I am free. In the ultimate, I dwell. And just let that energy continue to settle. The energy of mindfulness is like a bright, sparkling, effervescent light. Just let that settle even more. And this will help you remember. Remember is about our body. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I am remembering. We are remembering who we are. We are remembering who we are. We are remembering. We are remembering. So, may you all be well. May our nights and days be well. May we all remember that home is right here. Thank you so much for this opportunity to practice, and may we all be well.
Shall we give back the merit? May the merit of this practice
May the merit of this practice
benefit all beings
benefit all beings
and bring peace.
and bring peace.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Yes. Did you want to say anything, Anne, or you gay?
Just a quick reminder about our practice day next Saturday. So everyone is welcome and you can join for what portion you'd like.
And Paige Gilchrist will be speaking in the morning. She's a Zen practitioner and a yoga teacher. So she's going to bring some more body-mind awareness to us next week. And the intro class is next week, right, Anne?
Right, next Sunday at 10:30.
Okay. All right. Please come anytime.
Thank you, Peggy, and thank you, Tejo. Such an honor.
Thank you, everyone.
Hi. Hi, Lilian.